What's up, guys? EDA Talk Sports here, back with another video, and this time we've got some breaking news. Edu is set to leave Arsenal in his role as sporting director, and I've got a lot to say. To be honest with you. But first, let's cover the news very briefly. You'll see here, Sky are covering it. A number of outlets are covering it. Edu is leaving Arsenal, set to leave. He's due to join the Nottingham Forest owners group of clubs and probably be a sporting director or something of that nature, guiding the direction of the clubs and their transfers, etc. And I've got a lot to say, to be honest with you. I've got a lot to say when it comes to Edu. I've got a lot to say when it comes to Arsenal. This to me is it's not good. It's not good at all, to be honest with you. I think from an Arsenal perspective, business hasn't been as good as it should have been, and this season was no different. We brought in players, yes. Were they the players that we really wanted as fans? No. Maybe the club wanted those players. That's fair, but I'm not 100% convinced by his reign and his period of time with Arsenal. And I make no bones about it. I think the timing of this decision is poor, to say the least. I want to be very careful with my words. I think the decision to leave at this time is poor. We should be preparing for what we're going to actually be doing in the January transfer window. You've given whoever's coming in a month or so to figure out what they need to do, and your summer transfer window was less than ideal. We knew what we needed when we came into the transfer window this summer. We knew that we needed a striker to compete with Kai Havertz. We knew that we needed another attacker. That was clear when we lost to Bayern Munich, and I don't think any of that was addressed in the way it needed to be. Edu has less than a desirable transfer record, and I think we need to go through it to encompass what he's done. I will say it was better than what we had previously, but I think we need to take a holistic approach when reviewing. So Edu came into Arsenal in July 2019, and he still has the record for, well, it was the record for our most expensive transfer. Nicolas Pepe, 80 million euros. William Saliba, Kieran Tierney, David Luiz, Pablo Mari, Gabriel Martinelli. And we can review all of these transfers very quickly. Nicolas Pepe, you can call a flop. We'll probably rank these as well. It was a flop. I liked Nicolas Pepe. I don't think Mikel gave him the opportunity that he needed, but when you spend 70 million, 80 million on a player, you expect a lot more, and we weren't able to get that. So objectively, flop. William Saliba has been a clear win for us, a great signing from Arsenal for Arsenal. Kieran Tierney, I would say now is a flop. He hasn't continued. There was periods of his time where he was one of the best defenders that we had, and I think it's an opportunity and how it fits the manager. David Luiz could say a success in his time at Arsenal. I'll still probably lean it as to being a flop, to be honest with you. Pablo Mari, flop. Gabriel Martinelli, that's been a win. Cedric, flop. Denis Ceballos, in between, flop maybe, if we're being brutal. Losses, we sold Alex Iwobi, sold him for a decent fee, and some of the other sales as well. I don't think we could have really asked for too much more. The Henry Mkhitaryan one was disappointing because, again, I think he was quickly moved and sold for a higher fee later on in his career. But I would say in majority, done quite well, losing Aaron Ramsey on a free, as an ideal Danny Welbeck on a free as well. But in summary, Nicolas Pepe was a flop, but there were a couple decent wins in his first season. Moving on to his first full season, I think this was when he had Mikel in the team, and so looking at the transfers, Thomas Partey has been a win, Gabriel Magalhaes has been a win, Pablo Mari, who we made eminent, again was a flop. Martin Odegaard, who came in on loan and then signed permanently, has been a win. Benarsson, flop. Cedric, again as we mentioned, flop. Willian, big flop. Matthew Ryan was decent, we didn't see too much of him. And then in terms of departures, Emi Martinez, the time seemed like a decent deal. Looking back at it, we probably should have got a little bit more. Teo Guendouzi went out on loan and we eventually sold him later on. And another bunch of free transfers, including Mesut Ozil and Socrates and Mustafi. Some of these were much needed to get off. I don't know how much credit I'll put down to Edu. You just don't need to sign them to contracts. But in terms of the signings, Partey, Magalhaes and Odegaard were three good ones to talk about. In the 21-22 season, Ben White came in. This was a big season for Arsenal. Martin Odegaard was made permanent. Aaron Ramsdale was signed, and Tomiyasu and Lokonga were also brought into the team, as well as Tavares. So Ben White, success. Give Edu and Mikel their props on that. Odegaard being made permanent, again, another success for the guys. Aaron Ramsdale, I'm going to say, is a flop. 2 seasons on, he wasn't starting. He wasn't our main goalkeeper. 30 million spent and a change of direction very quickly. He was decent at his time with Arsenal, but enough for me to say that that signings was a success. When you sold him for, I think it was even less than what we signed him for. Yeah, I'm not sure. Tomiyasu, you could say is a success, has been injured for long periods. Sambi Lokonga, flop. Nuno, flop. Trusty, flop. Looking at the sales, Joe Willock for 25 million, pretty much 30 million euros was a decent sale. Torreira on loan, I think we should have got more money out of him. Maitland-Niles, again, we were struggling with our sales, and I think the amount of money we were actually intaking was the real problem when it came to Arsenal. We weren't maximising those sales, which means we couldn't maximise our purchases. In the 22-23 season, when we signed Gabriel Jesus, Fabio Vieira, Zinchenko, Trossard, a lot of big signings came into the team. I'll start off with number one, Gabriel Jesus. Has he been a flop? Has he been a success? I'm going with a flop. Had a decent 3-4 months to start his Arsenal career. Injuries, poor finishing, not clinical. All of those things have brought him down in my estimation. One of the worst signings in the Edu era for me has to be Fabio Vieira. 35 million euros spent on this attacking midfielder who we were promised the world. You know, he's got so much quality, so much skills, shown pretty much nothing. We got the goal against Brentford. We got a half period of a cameo against Fulham last season. That's about it. I wasn't impressed with that signing, and this kind of was the turning period where we probably look back on some of these transfers and they haven't turned out to be as good as we suspected. Gabriel Jesus, as mentioned to me, has been a flop in terms of the expectations. Second highest paid player, hasn't delivered to that effect at all. Fabio Vieira, one of the worst. Zinchenko, flop, hasn't done anything outside of the first season. Trossard, I'd say, is a success and a smart piece of business. Kivior, I like Kivior a lot, so I'm going to give this a success. Good backup left and a back, can play left back as well. Jorginho wasn't who we wanted, let's be honest, but has come in, been a solid person in the midfield, and we've got to give him his props. Matt Turner, flop. Marquinhos, flop. Looking at their sales, Guendouzi, I still think we should have got more money than we did. 11 million euros. Lucas as well, more money should have been taken from him. Leno, Mavropanos, who eventually went on to West Ham as well. These are players that we should have got a lot more on. The free transfers of Lacazette, Bellerin, Pablo Mari. Again, should be getting more. We signed Pablo Mari for like 6-7 million. A year later, he's gone. Not good business in my opinion. Looking back to last season, Declan Rice coming in, that's been a success. Kai Havertz coming in, that's been a success. Duran Timber has been a success. David Raya has been a success. Marquinhos, who we saw quickly got moved on and it was on loan, and I think has eventually moved on permanently. In terms of sales, Balogun with the £30 million fee, for me at the time I thought we should have got a little bit more. Probably has turned out to be a decent bit of business. Xhaka, 15 million. Again, I probably would not have sold Xhaka given where we were in their season previous, but he wanted to go and they came to an agreement. Matt Turner was quickly moved on. Pablo Mari was quickly moved on. Austin Trusty was quickly moved on. Tierney and Holding were also moved on. Tierney on a loan. And then finally looking back to this season, and this is probably where a lot of the criticism lies, but we'll see how these deals turn out. Calafiori, 45 million. Mikel Moreno, 32, and we confirmed the signing of Raya and Neto and Sterling on loan. And we actually sold better than we ever have with selling some of our younger players. Looking back at it now, Calafiori, decent player, probably has a lot of potential. We did need a left back to a degree, but that wasn't top of the list. And the jury's still out to see exactly what kind of player he will be for us. I got higher hopes for him than at this present moment, Mikel Moreno. I had a lot of high hopes when Mikel came into the team. Haven't seen it manifest as of yet, and so the jury is still out on him, and the jury's still out on transfer window in general. Sterling wasn't the person that a lot of people wanted when we started the transfer window. Now we're looking back, and we haven't got a striker. The left wing doesn't seem to be in a position for him to get those minutes. And yeah, there's a lot of questions out there. I think in the main, Edu has done a good job compared to what we had previously. However, I feel like there's another step to go. This transfer window, we weren't as intentful as we wanted to be. Mikel Arteta has spoken about that. Difficulties with the Euros, yes, but we can't deny that there were some flops in those deals. There were some successes. I think I'm more disappointed with the timing and also with the mission that Arsenal are on to kind of cut that short for another opportunity isn't great. And I know the great working relationship that him and Mikel had. I'm hoping that Arsenal can fill that gap with someone even better. And I hope that our transfer policy in terms of what we need to do to win a title will be addressed by that individual. Guys, hopefully you've liked this video. Make sure to comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.